Welcome back to an Aspec guide to Shakespeare, a show for those who'd rather hear their dog bark at a crow than someone swear they love them. I'm your host, Beks Roen, they, he. Today, I wanted to share some of the basic terms and definitions that you'll probably hear a lot on the podcast. My resources for those terms are going to include the Asexuality and Aromanticism Bibliography, Angela Chen's book, Ace, which I have here, as well as Ace Dad Advice and their two books, I Am Ace and the Ace and Aro Relationship Guide. Quick note, there is a ton of beautiful diversity in these communities as we craft new tools to describe our experience in the world. I ascribe to Ace Dad Advice's note in their book, I Am Ace, that terms and labels are tools, not tests. They are not meant to constrict or rigidly divide, but they're there to help us build community and clear communication. And also, this is by no means a comprehensive list, so there will probably be updates and in-episode additions as we go. Also, intersecting identities play a huge, important role in the community, something that I really hope to highlight in the guests and scholars that I bring on to talk about their work in the podcast. So for starters, Aspec. In their book, The Ace and Aro Relationship Guide, Cody of Ace Dad Advice says, quote, Aspec refers to the broad spectrum of individuals who exist on either the Ace or Aro spectrum, or both. Aspec not only acknowledges that there are resonances and similarities between the Ace and Aro experiences, but it also highlights that Ace and Aro folks brush up against similar and related cultural forces. So I use it very much as sort of the broad, umbrella term that's encapsulating everyone who is a part of one or both of the Aro or Ace spectrums. Speaking of, asexuality and aromanticism. So, according to the Asexuality and Aromanticism Bibliography, quote, simply put, asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction or experiencing sexual attraction under limited circumstances. And aromanticism is a lack of romantic attraction or experiencing romantic attraction under limited circumstances. However, there have been a number of definitions offered for both of these terms, and neither is a single monolithic identity. They also have reading lists so that you can learn more about the two different terms, how critical theories associated with them intersect. So I will link that in the show notes. You will often hear me, as I already did, shorten asexual to ace, like the playing cards, and aromantic to aro, A-R-O. This is a common abbreviation in the community. I personally identify as both asexual and aromantic, so you'll hear me describe myself as aro-ace, one word. Now, the next one that I want to define is compulsory sexuality. I have a feeling this will come up a lot, especially as we tackle Shakespeare's comedies. Christina Gupta describes compulsory sexuality as, quote, the assumption that all people are sexual and the social norms and practices that both marginalize various forms of non-sexuality and compel people to experience themselves as desiring subjects, take up sexual identities, and engage in sexual activity. Basically, compulsory sexuality is, for example, the force behind the rom-com. Even if the character at the start isn't interested and swears, for example, I'd rather hear my dog bark at a crow than a man swear he loves me, you can bet they'll be married and assumed to be sleeping together by the time the credits roll. Compulsory sexuality pushes everyone towards a false, quote-unquote, natural state of, well, everybody wants sex, even though that's not true. And amatonormativity takes it one step farther. Dr. Ali O'Mara's talk at the ACMRS Early Modern Asexuality and Performance Roundtable cites Elizabeth Brake's definition of amatonormativity as, quote, the assumption that a central, exclusive, amorous relationship is normal for humans, in that it is a universally shared goal, and that such a relationship is normative, in that it should be aimed at in preference to other relationship types, end quote. Dr. O'Mara further notes that this work in asexuality studies is, quote, impossible without the work of critical race studies. Too much and too little sex in the quote-unquote wrong bodies have been used to justify white supremacy, eugenics, colonization, and other violence against Black, brown, disabled, and feminized bodies, end quote. So A lot of this you'll see how it shows up in the stories that we tell, and we'll dig more into it as we go. I just wanted to give everyone a sort of a starting point. So if you want to read more, I do highly recommend Angela Chen's book, Ace, the YouTube channel Ace Dad Advice, and both of Cody's books. That one's upside down. And the ACMRS round table, which will specifically focus more on that early modern and some Shakespeare performance stuff. So I will link all of those in the description below, and I will also add some more resources in there as well. Thank you so much for listening. As an Aspec Shakespeare actor, I really want this podcast to create the resource that I haven't seen yet. A space made by and for Aspec community to shine, where scholars can share ideas and artists can turn dramaturgies into action and performances. If you know any Aspec Shakespeare actors, artists, or scholars, please send them my way. They can contact me to set up a conversation at beks@beksroen.org. And if you want sneak peeks of upcoming guests along with a bunch of other queer storytelling goodies, you can subscribe to my streaming platform Roguish Goblin Stories at beksroen.org/RGS. That's BEKSROEN.org/RGS. Thanks for listening. Can't wait to see you in the next one.